Hi guys, welcome. This is my channel Talk with Ali, and I'm Ali, and for the first time I'm not just talking to a phone. I actually have two people with me, two awesome people. So I have right next to me Jonathan. He has a channel is hung up on theme parks, and then under me we have Scott, and his channel is called So-Called Exploring. So welcome, guys.
Thanks. I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited to see what questions we get.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, we
this
have
is,
good questions.
and I'm super excited to be talking with you guys. I'm happy
Yeah.
that the West Coast gets some representation here.
Oh my God, yes. So before getting into the questions that we were sent, I just there was a tweet that we saw. Let me just look it up real quick. It talks about one of the houses that was rumored to be at Halloween Horror Nights. So this is still, it's not 100% confirmed by Universal. But according to Christopher Ripley on his Twitter account, we just found out that the Billie Eilish house is being torn down by Universal. So before we get to the questions, I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Let's start with Jonathan right here.
So, in terms of why it's being torn down, I mean, at least I really think that it's because she started changing her whole aesthetic in terms of her music. You can see by her latest music video that it wasn't super dark as like all her previous ones have been. And if she's moving in that direction, if she's moving in the direction of pure, less super dark and gritty, then it wouldn't make sense to have a super dark and gritty house based on her. I'm pretty sure she wouldn't like that at all, and it just wouldn't fit. So, I mean, it makes sense why they would tear it down and why it might not be coming back next year. If it even was a thing, am I happy about it? No, it could have been a really good house based on her, creepy music, your dark, creepy music, and the fact that creators could get really original with this house and really play with the lyrics and really just make something really frightening. I was really interested to see, my first music house because I haven't been able to experience one yet. But I mean, if this is true and it's not coming back, it sucks, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
See, I mean, the thing with it is like when it was already on the rumor list early, like before COVID affected it, a lot of people were like kind of upset about it, and
Mm-hmm.
I was one to be like, no, you got to give it a chance. It's a dumb idea, but we got to give it a chance. And honestly, that's been the story of Horror Nights experiences in the past couple of years. Is the fact that not all the time are you going to see all the details in a trailer or on the creatives talking on Twitter. Like, you have to wait till you experience it yourself in order to judge it. And it's fun to kind of, pre-rank stuff and say, this is where I think it's going to go. But at the end of the day, if you haven't been through it, you can't really speak on how good it is yet. And I thought that Billie Eilish had potential. I mean, especially with Hollywood, I'm sure you guys know that, like, Hollywood has a good trend of music mazes with Slash, with Figure, with Alice Cooper, tons of music mazes. So I don't understand why people were so shocked and worried that this was going to be a flop, because with the history that Horror Nights in Hollywood has had, and there's been music mazes or music houses in Orlando too, I don't see why it would be a fail. I mean, she's got that dark side to her. So it is kind of upsetting because in my speculating side of things, I would have liked to see people be like, oh, it's a good house / maze, for the ones that were like, no, it's not going to be a good house / maze, and then they're proven wrong during the event. But it does suck. I agree with Jonathan. It's definitely because she's changing her style for sure. We've seen it this year. If you guys have followed Billie Eilish at all, even if you're not like super fan, she's just been going through this phase of, now she's an adult and now she's growing out of her gothic style. So it definitely just won't work next year at either event, unfortunately.
Yeah. The only thing, that I just asked myself when I saw that is maybe that should have been one of the houses that they could have opened. But at the same time, oh no, Scott.
Oh, did I disappear?
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
But you're still there. We can hear you.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, that's the only thing I thought. They probably have their reasons. But it sucks. I was looking forward to it when I heard that this was probably going to be a rumor. At the time, I was looking at her videos, and I'm like, this actually makes sense. I may not be a huge fan of hers. Like, I do like her music, but it does make a lot of sense for it to be at Halloween Horror Nights. It's sad, but I agree with both of you guys. So we'll see.
I mean,
So
it would have been
yeah.
it would have been cool if they did open it knowing that it wasn't going to come back. But I mean, it's probably contractual obligations they had,
Yeah.
and then maybe Billie
Yeah.
Eilish didn't want to be a part of an event that was happening. Well, not even an event, but just something that was happening during a pandemic.
Exactly.
And
Well, you got to think,
yeah.
like you said, contractual stuff. It's when they do these deals with like a company like Warner Brothers or any outside company that's not Universal or just an outside artist like Billy,
Mm-hmm.
the contract I'm sure states like you're going to get all this advertisement of the whole year. You're going to get all this stuff, and she's not going to get a whole year if they were to do that. She's only going to get certain bits of advertisement, and even though she'd still have mainly positive from it, it's not something that could have been done honestly. And same with Hollywood. And like Hollywood, I feel is like a big pull for the celebrity scene.
Mm-hmm.
So without having that maze and just having it in Orlando, I feel like she missed out on tons of advertisement. And I just think that's why it was just a whole contract thing but I would have liked to see it as one of the two houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get to the Q&As. So we're gonna start off with one of the questions. It was from HHN Rumors. So they wrote, awesome collab. Thank you. We're awesome. I've got a couple of questions for you. One was everyone's first year. Were you fans before you attended? And would you rather loop through houses or spend hours in Scare Zone? So let's go with the first question. I'll start with Scott this time. When was your first year?
All right, so my first year was in 2010 for Hollywood, and my first year technically for Orlando will be this year when I go out there in a couple weeks. So I'll, since it's HHN Light, I'll consider it my first year. I'm still getting to experience the houses, so 2020 will be my first year for Orlando.
Nice. And what about you, Jonathan?
So my first year was 2018, HHN 28 in Orlando. And the only reason I went was because of the properties it had. So it had Killer Clowns from Outer Space, The Scare Zone. It had Poltergeist and Stranger Things as houses. And that's what really drew me to finally going, for 28. So, yeah, that's the first year I went. So
Nice. I went on year 23, so 2013. And to answer, were you fans before you attended? No.
No, I wasn't.
I
Same.
went through I went because of peer pressure. My friends were like, no, you gotta go. It was a friend of mine, and her mom was also like, you gotta go.
Yeah.
How can I say no to a mom? So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, so I went, and my first house was La Llorona, and I remember having this adrenaline, and I'm like, this is my thing now. This is yeah. And what about you, Jonathan?
So my the reason I went, like I said, was because of the properties. It was also because I was recently watching a ton of vlogs. I was on a vlog phase and seeing all of the HHN videos in the past. I'm like, oh, this looks kind of interesting. I might want to try it. I never tried really a big haunt before. So I'm like, why not? I really have nothing to lose. So my dad and I went, not my entire family, just my dad and I. We would later go as an entire family the next year because we loved it so much. But we went to go to the Poltergeist house first. We were planning to go to Stranger Things, but the line was way too long, so we just hopped in Poltergeist. And I remember that feeling when we first walked in and we saw that giant facade they had for the house, and it was raining. You can feel feel the rain, feel the wind,
Yes.
and we just looked at each other like, what did we get ourselves into? What is this? Everyone was started moving in a conga line formation that I didn't know was a thing. So I'm like, oh, that makes this so much more scarier. And walking out of that house, I do not remember what happened in that first run because I was so terrified, but I love the feeling of it. And that first run and seeing that facade and just seeing all the detail put into the house made me went, okay, this is something special. This took me into an environment. It really put me inside of a movie.
Mhm.
I love this event, and I'm going to be going for years and years and years. So that first house exactly was the moment where I said, okay, this is a thing for me now. I'm definitely going to be coming back.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, I think that's how everybody gets hooked on it. Is like you go for your first time, and then you just get that feel, like that adrenaline rush. And some people, it's not for them, but others, it's like you get that quick adrenaline rush, and then excuse me,
Mhm.
and then you realize that it's for you, and you start going every single year, and you get hooked on it, and you follow all the speculation, and you follow all the rumors and everything, and over the years, I think that it's I've really gotten to see a lot as far as speculation goes and everything, and see how it's evolved and into what the event is today. And that's one reason why I love it so much.
And
Yeah.
would you, Scott, would you rather uh, loop through houses or spend hours in scare zones?
Oh, for sure, loop through houses. You're constantly getting scared. In scare zones, you may not get scared all the time, but in houses, you're constantly getting scared. So for sure, houses for me.
I agree with that. I think we're all on the same page, right?
I 100% agree. There's been some scare zones that I really like
Hmm.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space in
Mhm.
Orlando and Rob Zombie's Hellbilly Deluxe, but I like houses more, and I always have. One day I
Nothing beats
do.
that feeling.
Nothing
Yes.
does. Yeah, you're right. Especially going into, even no matter what year you're in, if it's your first or if it's your, third or whatever, going into that first house of the year gives you a feeling like no other, that no scare zone can provide. It's something special. Even
Mhm.
this year, walking into, I went into the Tooth Fairy first, and just getting that smell, getting, the atmosphere of, you're in a sound stage, you're in a Horror Nights house. It's like, you cannot compare that with anything. It's truly, it's wonderful. It's the best feeling.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Um, so the next question is actually from Anthony 100 from Twitter, and he asks the following: do you consider Chucky the icon of the IPs since they put him on a lot of merchandise and he's owned by Universal? Would you like to see the new Chucky house or scare zone for HHN 30 since Chucky TV show made by Universal is coming out in 2021? Love your channel. Keep up the good work. So let's start with Jonathan. What do you think?
Okay, so in terms of him being the icon of the IPs, honestly, I could definitely see it, but it's definitely unintentional because I think the reason they put him on all the merchandise is because just like people love, out of like all the icons, I think he's probably the most marketable. I don't know that for sure, but I feel like just people, even kids, really click to Chucky. I don't know how to explain that better. It's just he's the best one in terms of, selling stuff out of the big three, or however, many big IPs there are. And he also fits almost every category. If you want pure horror, he has pure horror. If you want comedy, he has pure comedy. He
Yes.
has pretty much every level of horror there is. And I could see him if they said one day that Chucky is the icon of the IPs. I could definitely believe it. He's a classic. He has all the genres. So yeah, that's something I could definitely see. And in terms of a Chucky house based on the new TV show, I would absolutely love that. I'm really excited for it, considering it's being made by the people who made the original, Child's Play and beyond. Not the one who made the remake, but the original people. And I would love, as long as the show's good, I don't have a doubt that it won't be. I think it could be a great house, and I would love to see it next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. It's like Chucky is just a marketable character, and it's super unintentional. But there has been years where they really market Chucky, and they know exactly what they're doing. Like for 2017, we had the Terror Tram, the Titans of Terror, and Chucky was the host, and that was all just to promote really the new movie coming out. But I don't know if I'd like to see Chucky as an icon as much. I just feel like that leave that to the originals, but definitely some more resemblance of Chucky would be nice because it's been a while since we've gotten anything Chucky related in the sense of seeing sets based on him or seeing sets based on his movie. I mean, the last Chucky experience that I remember was going through the House of Horrors at Hollywood, which was our daytime haunted house. And yeah, I think Chucky needs a little bit more representation. I don't think he needs to be the face of the event, but I definitely think that he does need some representation because he does pop up a lot in merch and marketing and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you went on year 28, right, Jonathan?
Agent in 28, yes. That
Yeah.
was my
So
first year.
was that the year they had Chucky? Okay.
Yes. They
That
had him they had
mhm.
him in a scare zone. I think it was called Revenge of Chucky or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was themed to a bunch of toys. It was really a toy shop with kind of Chucky just there. But I still enjoyed he was the best part of that scare zone, him just heckling everybody. It was quite nice. I did really enjoy that scare zone.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact they had Chucky and he just pretty much roasted people. Um,
Yeah.
but I remember like that year, I was thinking to myself, how come this is all we have for
Mhm.
Chucky? Chucky is known in the horror community. Um, so I was just a little bit like, why isn't there a house?
I think it's because, well, I mean, you got to think of the main character, main villain that's going to be popping out is Chucky,
Yeah.
and Chucky's like, this height, so it requires a lot
Yeah,
of
I will say that is
puppets.
like when they had the Terror Tram and they had Chucky with the chainsaw, so it was just life size Chucky, and it just didn't. It was like okay, cool.
Right.
It doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to actually have a puppet doing it, or else the Chucky effect just won't work. And I feel like with rumors of houses they might have in the future, and they're now working close with Warner Brothers. I mean, most likely, the rumors are we're gonna have Beetlejuice next year, which
Hmm.
could be awesome. But if they continue with that and they get Gremlins, I mean, that's the whole house is gonna be puppets.
Yeah.
So if you want to have houses and you really want to expand your roster in terms of movies you can do, they need to start doing almost completely puppet houses. And Chucky would be a great start with that. Have a
Hmm.
bunch of Chuckies, and I would totally be fine with that. That's honestly a house I would really love to see.
Yes, I agree with you 100% on that. Now, another question. This is from Instagram underscore Halloween Everyday 1999. Uh, what has been your favorite smell in a haunted house, maze, or scare zone? I'll start with you, Scott. What is a
Um,
memorable smell from Halloween Horror Nights?
Krampus 2016, the gingerbread scene. Hands down,
Hmm.
love that smell. It was great.
Okay. And what about you, Jonathan?
Okay, so my favorite smell is connected to a memory, so I'm not it's technically probably not my favorite smell, but it is my favorite smell. And that is the opening of Killer Clowns from Outer Space in Orlando. They had the popcorn smell.
That's
Oh,
true.
that's cool.
Oh
I
my
wish we had that.
God.
You didn't have
That
any
is true.
smells in your house?
No, we didn't have any. We have eliminated smells in Hollywood. I'd say like the past 3 years we haven't seen them as frequently as we used to. The only one that I can remember last year was in Creep Show, and it was one of the ending scenes that we had.
Okay.
Is it because like the smell is easier to like seep through things or something like that?
I know it's just I don't know. They just got rid of it, and it used to be such a big thing, like in all the mazes, but now it kind of just nonchalantly disappeared.
Jeez,
Yeah.
that's not good.
Um, my I was telling you guys before, When I read that question, I could not figure out which one, like which smell I was like, oh,
There's
I
so many.
love. But for some reason, I just thought of the smells I don't like, which, I guess that's the way I'll answer the question because I can't think of the other way. But definitely Nightingale last year, terrible smell. And The Exorcist, once you went in, you just had you knew you were in The Exorcist based on the smell, like.
Yeah.
And then there was one section in A House of a Thousand Corpses
Hmm.
where it was all fog, but it had like this weird, I don't know, weird smell where I remember the second time I went, I gagged. I was
I
like,
never noticed the smell.
yeah, it was a section where like there was a lot of fog before going into another section. I was
I
like,
will say that that's an honorable mention right there. Is one that we're all forgetting is the smell of fog. It is
yes,
Oh,
the
yes.
greatest.
man. And I
Yes.
used it in a negative way, and I shouldn't have done that. Shame on me.
Honestly, it's not even just the smell of fog, but it's the smell of walking into a house, even if it doesn't have any fog in it. You just smell like
Yeah, I don't know. I
yeah.
don't know what it is, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Like the smell of walking in. Like there's just something. There's some smells that are pumping through that you're in a house or a maze.
There just needs to be a
Yes.
candle of like, I'm in Horror Nights, guys. Here we
Yeah,
go.
right.
Okay. So another one. So we have here from Instagram, Adventures with John Jr. If there was one IP or original concept maze you would redo, what would it be and why? And I see Jonathan already, like, so I'll let you
Okay.
start.
Okay. In terms of Orlando, because I haven't been to Hollywood, Ghostbusters. I did not like the Ghostbusters maze because they played it safe. They
Yeah.
just followed the first movie, and because of that, lots of scenes lacked a lot of scares. Because obviously, in some scenes, if you're following the movie, you can only have one ghost. When you're in the hotel, you can only have Slimer. When you're in the library, you can only have the librarian ghost. You get really, really limited on scares just following the first movie. I would have liked, and I wrote a whole, like, it's not professional, but I wrote a whole, like, my idea how I would do this is a house set maybe 10 minutes after the second movie where they're back in business. You walk into the firehouse and they sort of like, they're calling for people to join their, get a job there. And
Mhm.
then everything goes wrong. Walter Peck goes in, turns off the containment unit because he's just mad at Venkman. He just hasn't gotten over that grudge yet. And every single ghost from the past two movies and whatever else you want to pull from, you can use in the same locations. You can have it in the hotel, you can have it in the library, but you can add more ghosts. You have a reason to add different types of things that you wouldn't see in the original house. And I would have loved the concept of pink slime actually used in the house from Ghostbusters 2, that you can take pink slime, put it on anything, any object you have, any ordinary object, and it becomes evil, becomes ghostly, and it becomes scary. And that is a creator's dream, to have the ability to play with that. And
Yeah.
I mean, I also would have loved to see, I think his name's Janusz, the guy who has the accent in Ghostbusters that no one
I
no
don't
one
know.
knows where it came from. But I would have loved to like have him a part in the maze or whatnot. But yeah, just set a little bit after, and therefore you can take everything you have in your arsenal that has been used in the Ghostbusters lore and just spill it and just have it a really an anniversary of Ghostbusters and why we love the property so much. Just have all this weird ghost stuff going around. That's what I would have liked, instead of just walking, just having a storybook walkthrough of the first movie.
Yeah.
See, one property that stands out to me automatically is just Blumhouse in general, right? Because we've done Horrors of Blumhouse twice now in Hollywood. I think you guys have done it twice in Orlando, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mhm.
once. It's has so much potential because there's so many different properties within Blumhouse that they could use. And they really missed their mark with not only the first one, but they missed their mark in the second one. The first one being that the sinister part was just not good. Second one being that they used properties like Unfriended and Truth or Dare. I just really wish that they would take the time and effort to really put in all the detail of the Blumhouse properties, because I really think that Horrors of Blumhouse is a very, very, very good, unique idea, and I wish that they would kind of think about it more and come back with a Horrors of Blumhouse 3, but this time have it super detailed and have the right properties in it instead of something like Unfriended.
Yeah. I would actually have to agree with you on that. I remember, yeah, I don't remember if it was year 27, but they did that one, and man, did they divide it so badly.
Yeah, like because you guys had Purge and Happy Death Day in one of them, I think, just only those two.
Yeah, that was number 2 and 28. I remember that because I walked out of the house going, "What was this?" Like I'm like, "What did I just walk through? This is a bad house."
But there was a year where there were 3 Blumhouse.
I think that was 27.
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
then it was, I think that was actually worse. Because the first, I don't remember which one was first. It was like 2 sections. Then it was another one, like the other movie, like maybe 3 sections, and then like 7 sections of like The Purge. And I remember walking out of there and I'm like, this is divided so badly. Maybe just do it evenly next time, because I think it was a Sinister, the first section of the house that I was, I went in, okay, oh, we're already in the other one, okay, cool.
Yeah. See, with the first one in Hollywood, it was like you had like a gauntlet outside for The Purge, and then you went into the theater facade, and then in a Happy Death Day, and it was like a good transition scene, but just lacked a lot.
Yeah.
I will say that 28 did have a good I did like their transition. I didn't feel too forced, where you would walk out of Happy Death Day and you'd have a hallway filled with TVs doing the Purge spiel, so you can your mind can go, okay, now I'm about to enter the Purge house. And I did like that transition. I think the whole first half of the house with Happy Death Day was just god awful. And they had a unique idea, but it didn't work at all by taking you through the same room over and over and over again. The scares were predictable and the sets weren't even that good, in my opinion. And especially with a bunch of just fake models, laying in bed on the bed there. So yeah, that's really the reason I didn't like that house, was the whole first half.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So next question, and this is from @HuntLine from Twitter, and this is directly to Jonathan.
Shout out to you, John.
What the heck does Buzz Cola taste like anyways? And I'm actually really curious to know.
Okay. So if you guys don't know, Buzz Cola is an exclusive drink you can only get at Springfield. I don't know if it's in Hollywood. Do you guys have Buzz Cola in Hollywood?
Yes, we do. I'm pretty sure we do.
Okay. Have you ever tried it?
No, never.
Okay. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. But I'm just speaking for Orlando. In any Springfield location, restaurant or whatever, you can get Buzz Cola. And I would describe the taste like this. Do you know the feeling when you're sitting, at a theme park, just people watching and everything just is going right? You're experiencing pure happiness, pure peace, pure tranquility. That's what a Buzz Cola tastes like. That's the best. That's the best comparison I can give.
I think that sums it up perfectly.
Absolutely. But if I was giving a real answer, it's Coke Zero with cherry in it, but it's not a cherry Coke Zero. The cherry's different. It's not the normal cherry. I don't know how to describe it, but it's good. It is really good. And
it's the name that makes you taste something different, and that's the best part about it, I feel like.
Absolutely. It tastes like it's something from a cartoon, which is very strange, but it's the same reason why butterbeer tastes so magical when it's just, cream soda with some butterscotch froth on it. So yeah, Buzz Cola is my favorite theme park drink, and you all should try it. That's something you should definitely go out the parks to do.
I'll tell you this. I haven't gone to Universal, but when I do, I will not go to the houses first. No, I will go try the Buzz Cola because I need to know. You have me curious now.
I really do like it. Like I always, it is a joke with me because I like, talking about it, but it is my favorite drink. And I wish more people knew about it because it flies under the radar because most people don't know what Buzz Cola is. And even if they did, they don't really look for it. They wouldn't know that's an option. It's not as big as marketable as like a Flaming Moe is in Springfield,
Yeah.
but it is something that I thoroughly enjoy. And you all, I can't wait for you guys to try it one day. And, also all of you out there to try it because it is really good.
Yep. If you're watching this, you better try it. Okay, cool. So this is not from the actual like Q&A. Like this is actually, I was for some reason expecting this. I'm kind of shocked no one asked Scott this.
Are these the last questions?
Oh no, not yet. No,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
this is me because I am actually really curious. I know you haven't really attended Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, but you've seen how it is. Like, are there any noticeable differences when it comes to Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood and Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando?
Oh yeah, there's obvious differences of quality. I always say this, right? When I'm comparing the two coasts, I'm always saying, you got to look at the resources that Hollywood has, and you got to look at the resources that Orlando has. Orlando has all these sound stages and space for them, but there's not as much filming going on in Orlando as there is in Hollywood, where it's a constantly working studio. So it's really hard to occupy a sound stage for 6 months during construction and then an extra 2.5 months that the event goes on, So we don't have the resources to get a sound stage as easily as Orlando would, which kind of sucks because you can just do so much more on a sound stage. So we have tents, or we'll have to throw up a maze in a queue line or just in the middle of the park, which works. But that's one of the big differences is a lot of people, when they compare Orlando or to Hollywood, whether it be good or bad, is they don't take into account the resources that one has and how one was built up, how one has been used to, the tents, and how one's been used to the sound stages, and how one obviously has more of that horror aspect to it in Hollywood, and the other one in Orlando has just more original aspects. So we have John Murdy, who is really, really dedicated to classic horror, and he's dedicated to IPs and everything. And in Orlando, they're just trying to bring you a scary event while also bringing IPs to life. But Murdy's an IP guy. He loves to do IPs. So definitely there's quite a bit of differences between them. But I always look into it. I never say, one's better than the other. I always go into both of them. And I'm just like, I know what to expect at one, and that's how I'm going to judge it.
Yeah.
Okay. I cannot wait for you to check out these two mazes because, from what I've seen on Hollywood and walkthroughs and stuff, these mazes, at least one of them is you're going to walk in and go, oh yeah, we're in Orlando now.
Yeah.
So we have 2 more questions.
Okay.
And then this is from your meme lord with a 0 instead of an O. Love it. If you could spend 24 hours in any Halloween Horror Nights Orlando house, what would it be? Well, in this case for you would be Hollywood. So, oh my God, I lost it. What would it be and why? And, in the comments, the person made, they said with scare actors. So I'll start with Jonathan. Go ahead.
So I was thinking about this a lot, and it's more of a preference of what mood I'm in that day. If I was in a mood where I wanted to get really scared, then I do Poltergeist. I love that house so much. Once again, it's my first, it's my first house, and I would love to go and check out all the details, especially in the kitchen scene that I'm not usually able to see, and in the bedrooms, and really just look around those areas. I would love to do that. But if I was in a fun mood, if I was in a more lighthearted mood, then absolutely Killer Clowns. That's not a question for me. I would love just walking through there and seeing all the clown scare actors and just having a good time. That's one of my favorite houses. Poltergeist is my first favorite, and Clowns is my second favorite. I put them both on different levels. 2 different reasons why they're my favorite. But yeah, those are I guess 2 I would pick.
Okay. And what about you, Scott?
I'd definitely pick Killer Clowns. There's no need for explanation. I've talked about this so much and how amazing it is. All the clowns characters are so fun. They had fun with you during the season, and they're just there's nothing that beats that place. See, I want somewhere where I can have fun but also be scared. So it'd probably be clowns.
Yes.
I would actually go with Lunatic's Playground 3D, which
Okay.
was Chance's house in year 26.
And see, a lot of people hated that house, but from the walkthroughs that I watched, I feel like that'd be one I'd unpopular opinion say I like it.
I loved it. I loved it. The only thing is that I think in the previous year or in the year after, I'm not really sure, they did Alice in like an Alice house, and it was
Yeah.
literally the same thing. So maybe they're just like, oh, we already had this, like why are we
Yeah,
doing
reuse props.
yeah but I still loved it. I think
Yeah.
it was like I think it was one of my favorite houses that year, so I don't really get why, but
Lots of people don't think Killer Clowns is one of the greatest houses ever made, and I'm going, I don't get why either. So
Yeah.
I don't.
listen, I had friends like for me, Killer Clowns was actually one of those houses where maybe like no, I did not get scared, but it was so it was a house that was very pleasing to the eye. I loved the colors. I loved everything. But level of being scared, I would probably, put it at
Yeah.
1 out of 10. But maybe that's why people didn't like that house. But I mean, I don't see it from, oh my God, it was scary. It was not scary. Whatever. I loved it. I loved going in there. I had fun every time I went in there.
It's about the experience, not about like everything else. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So very last question. This is actually coming from me.
Okay.
At Talk with Ali. So what is your number one or your number 1 and 2 favorite houses that you guys have gone to? I feel like we can't do a Q&A without that question. So
Yeah,
we'll start
it
with
has
Scott.
to have. So the number one for the longest time was always La Llorona in 2012, and until Killer Clowns came around, and that's my number one. But they're like I always tell everybody, I get this question a lot, and it's like those are always yes, Killer Clowns is number one, but La Llorona is right there, like an inch behind it. Like it's right there.
Yeah.
I just love Killer Clowns takes my number one because I watched the movie as a kid with my uncle, and I love it. And it's really not a movie I should be watching as a kid, but I growing up knowing that Killer Clowns was a movie, and then going into Horror Nights knowing that hopefully one day that I'll get to walk through it and live in the movie. That was always an exciting thing. So when it came true, I was extremely thrilled, and I'm so happy that they pulled it off and it wasn't a flop.
I love that. I love that answer, actually. What about you, Jonathan?
Well, I already said them, but I can expand a little bit. So yeah, Poltergeist, just the setting, the facade, the everything surrounding it, the scares, the music, the effects. That's what makes it one of my absolute favorites. Plus, it's based on one of my favorite horror movies. Killer Clowns is a little bit different because, like we said, it's fun. It's not that scary, but and it's honestly, if I'm going in terms of design wise and set wise, it wouldn't be my favorite. But the reason it gets so high on my list, and it is, my second favorite, whatever you want to call it, is because my brother, that's what got him to fall in love with Horror Nights. Surprisingly, we took him to Ghostbusters first, and he couldn't handle that one. But he went to the event for the clowns. We took him. He was only 10 years old, and we said they're only going to be here this year. We have to try and get him through that house. Yeah. And after Ghostbusters, he's like, I want to do clowns, and then that's it. Like, all right. So he went through clowns, and they all noticed. All the scare actors noticed he was frightened. He was visibly frightened. So instead of scaring him, they all gave him high fives and fist bumps. And so by the time he left the house, he fell in love with Horror Nights. It was such an amazing moment, and that is why it's one of my favorites, because of that memory connected with it alone. My brother cannot wait for all the houses in the future. Like after Killer Clowns, he did every single one of them. He was rushing us through the houses because like, I want to hit them. Like, all right. Like,
yeah. No, oh my God, my dog is barking. That's rude.
It's a good thing it's the end of the video.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I have two tied, and let's just say like as in it's really nice to look at, it was beautiful. I would say The Shining. To
Hmm.
me, The Shining was designed like on point. It was perfectly well done. Which actually that year was my favorite house to go in and out, in and out, in and out. But I also weirdly, and I remember that year no one really talked about this house. It was year 27 for The Purge. I remember there was like the very last room. It was like an EDM, like, and I remember I went with like a group of 10 people that one night. And we were like, hey, 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 hey. And
Yeah,
I was
those are
like,
always
wow.
fun.
So I think
Even
yeah, you were saying.
yeah, I mean like the horror like aspect's fun and all, but like I said, having the fun, funky aspect to it too is fun.
Yeah. I think that's why it's like right there in the top, because of
Makes
the
the
memory I
memories.
have. Yeah, like the memory I
Yeah.
have of it, the memory, like just having fun and just like dancing in a conga line, like, here we go. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Shining and definitely The Purge. So sadly, this is the end of the video. I honestly, this is the first time I get to talk with you guys, and it's really
Yeah.
unfortunate it has to be this way through Zoom.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You know, it's a pandemic, but you guys also have been very welcoming, because I literally just joined like 2 seconds ago with YouTube and Twitter, and I just want to thank you guys for
Yeah, of
welcoming me.
course.
it's no
Yeah.
And
problem.
soon we'll all meet up in person for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Once things gets a little bit easier, and next year I'll for sure be in Orlando a lot more frequently than I am this year. So
Yeah, and we'll go to HHN 30
yes,
together.
hopefully,
Yes.
yeah.
And then
Crossing
we
our
can
fingers that it's there.
yes. And you know, hopefully we can just keep talking more and keep making more videos.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah. And
I
so
think this is a good first collab for sure.
yeah, oh
Yeah.
definitely. And you know, let's see how this works out. But thank you guys for watching and for sticking around. I know this is a really fun topic and all. So yeah, just make sure you follow these awesome guys. So here you have Hung Up on Theme Parks, and down there you have So-Called Exploring. They have amazing videos. I know Jonathan has a podcast as well.
Yes.
So just make sure, you know, you guys subscribe, because it's kind of boring to just be subscribing to only one person. Just make sure you subscribe to different people, and subscribe to me too if you don't. If you're not already, hit like.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. All right,
Peace out, everybody.
later, Gators.